Hi, I wanted to draw your attention to a front-page story in the LA Times yesterday concerning Arizona's Prop 200, concerning the de facto legalization of a series of illicit drugs. Much of the attention has been focused on 215 in California, which was the Medical Marijuana Act. They're claiming in this article that the Arizona initiative is going to be a model for drug legalization throughout the entire United States. And since it was passed by 2 out of 3 Arizonans, as a similar number of Californians on a similar subject, I was wondering if the gentleman could comment.
Well,
Take it away.
I have to say I'm a heretic on this question. I think it makes a lot of sense, at least for the less serious drugs. You know, one of the things that I've always been given to understand about why the homicide rate in Washington, D.C. was so much higher than it is in almost any other American city, even cities with the 350 homicides last year, which is considered a great achievement. It's down from 500 half a dozen years ago, is that in Washington the drug trade has always been completely disorganized. In New York and Philadelphia and Chicago there are criminal syndicates, but still syndicates that understand who has control of the channels of drug distribution. In Washington, that's not been the case. You have these open-air drug markets. It's a very lucrative trade, and people get butchered over it. And I have to think it would be better for everybody if you took this trade out of the hands of criminal syndicates, put it into the hands of respectable companies that Democratic presidential candidates could demagogue against at election time, the evil tobacco marijuana complex, but ensure that it was regularized, that the level of profit in the industry came down, and that it wasn't worthwhile to butcher people over it. Yes, you would have a rise in addiction. I have no doubt about that. You'd have a fall in the murder rate. I think that would be a fair trade. That's a very heretical thought nowadays, but I think it would be a good trade.
I couldn't agree more. I think I'm very heartened to find that, in spite of all the incessant, ridiculous, hateful, self-evidently contradictory propaganda about the war on drugs, that when American voters are asked about it, it shows this propaganda has had no effect. It really cheers me up to think that. It restores one's faith in the thinking voter. I think decriminalization of drugs is long, long overdue. It will be looked back on when it is done as, what was all that about? How did we let Richard Nixon declare a war on drugs and ruin so much of our society, throw away so many of our liberties, incarcerate so many innocent people, deny ourselves, in the case of marijuana, so many potential remedies? How did we ever let this prohibition go as far as it has gone? I would add to what David Frum says, that not just would there be a great decline in the murder rate, because I'm not threatened physically at all if someone in my building or on my block wants to put a substance into their system, which is their right and it's none of the government's business. That doesn't threaten me at all. What does threaten me is the people who will shoot at each other in the street for the right to sell him that stuff if it's illegal. The second thing that terrible consequence, fell consequence that arises from that is, of course, tremendous corruption. Whole police departments have been lost to the drug trade, you know, and I think it won't be long before there'll be judges too. It'll be much, much worse than Chicago in the 20s, and it already is pretty bad. I think that's the moment probably at which decriminalization will be considered forcibly by the authorities. They'll have to do something about it, but I think it's appalling one should have to wait that long.